record on this computer. Okay, hello everybody. You're welcome. I am so happy to have Farley back. I think we're on day 8 of this challenge. So maybe if I'm not so close to the computer, what might be better? So I guess I never looked to see if people posted questions from earlier. Let me go look real quick. It's staying light later, so I'm outside till later. So there's no questions. So I thought that was awesome, the exercises that we did last week. And so what we're going to do today, guys, is we're going to go over the next set of exercises. We had talked last week about the fact that our pelvis, our hips, and we worked on some exercises kind of for the inside, and now we're going to kind of work to the next set of exercises. And I'm going to show you what I do for shoulder exercises. She showed you some examples, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that and any other questions you guys might have. So awesome. So, and then I added some stretching this 2 days ago because I thought that that was much needed for myself. So I don't know what you do for stretches, but I do downward dogs all the time with my kiddos from a neurological standpoint, right, to stretch the neural tube, not neurological, but more for the neural tube stretching and fascial stretching, and it's made a big difference. So maybe we'll show those in my, I do not look like the yoga person that does them on YouTube videos. So.
Yeah, you know, I have a really good friend that does yoga, and he's from Sweden, and he's like, us Americans have Americanized yoga, because yoga is about moving in your body properly, not tight pants and hot rooms and twisted into a pretzel. So I you know, it's just move how your body's going to tell you how it needs to move and how it needs to be stretched. And so let's learn to listen to it.
Right. Because, and that's what I've been using it for. It's super interesting if I do it. So I do it with the kiddos that have their reflexes that are not integrated, right? And I'll try to even have them just kind of get in almost just standing up like this and their hands on the counter position, and have them do it this way. And they can't even do that. And these are pretty neurotypical kiddos. My only thought is the fact that when you're 25 or 35, you're going to be on somebody's table in a PT clinic with neck pain because they're so flat.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah.
But even that example too, for somebody who's a desk jockey during the week, you can get up and be on the phone or check email and take a break from that and do that at your desk and do some modified stuff. I just think we get so twisted in we need yoga pants in a hot room and look like these cute little twigs that do hot yoga and twisting a pretzel, and when I was a kid. But I got a yoga video from Target one time, and it's got a great lower body 20-minute deal, and it helped my barrel racing when I was working on that tremendously.
Right. I was so anti-yoga, and probably maybe even to use the term until maybe 6 months ago, until I really got into the downward dog piece of it. Because I did yoga one time in college. It was awful. I did kid yoga, and it was the most I remember it wasn't even the part in the house, and I probably did it by myself, and I was so sore, and it was awful, and I never did it again because it was, but I can show you guys what I mean by this. You're not, so let's see. So I have my stool here, right? Because I can't make it to the ground, and most of us can't, right? Let's just be honest. The downward dog is like where you just kind of butt in the air, right? So how I do it is I keep my hands flat, and I do it this way, and then I'm back, and I make sure my heels are on the ground, and my knees are on the ground, and I'm here. Or I've been doing it in this way too. And then I just lean, and I look at my belly button or look up at the sky. And like you said, I move my neck until I feel a spot that's tight, and I hold it. That's my version of downward dog. But maybe that'll give everybody something to try. So last week we talked about, why don't you kind of talk a little bit about what you exercises we talked about last week, and then what would be the next step in those exercises?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing I wanted to touch on from the videos, and first off, I want to commend everybody in the group for all their participation in sending the videos, and I love that because it was all kind of hashtag in the arena 365, like everyday life, real life. This is what I'm doing on my ottoman, and I just. But I wanted to, and I talked about this in a couple of comments in the week, but I wanted to clarify where I could use my words and my hands and my big hair and all that good stuff. But when you're doing the our little rotation, abduction rotation, or exercise, the hook line one, yes. I roped all weekend and my brain's still not using all the words today. It's definitely been Monday. But make sure and bring your knees, keep your knees up towards your chest. That way you can engage that lower core. A couple of the videos that came in as they were coming off of center, their knees would fall back a little bit. So if they were like right here, and they were coming this way, those knees would fall down away from the body a little bit. And if you'll try to keep that arc at least level, if not think about going up a little bit more, that'll suck in some of that lower core. And we overlook our lower abs a lot. I think we overlook them in everyday athlete kind of stuff. I think we overlook them from a riding and roping standpoint. And that's a super important place to kind of develop for everything, as your run starts in the corner of the box, and how you leave the corner of the box is going to dictate how fast you're ready to rope, how and even backing up from that, how fast you get into position, how fast you get ready to rope, where your tip is, all that. Like that was a challenge for me this weekend, as I got fatigued, as I'm kind of coming back on this, is, it's taking that initial hit, like we talked about last week, a lot, and then getting in throwing position and getting that power. Our power comes from our pelvis down and even into our legs, and that your power doesn't come from your shoulder. It comes from your pelvis down, because that's where people run through that shoulder a lot, as they try to power through with it. That's not what the shoulder was made to do. So it's getting that power down through the pelvis.
For sure, right? Everybody says, oh, I want some shoulder exercises to do. And I'm like, or maybe we need to do some leg exercises. I mean, it's yeah, I do shoulder exercises because I have a issue with my shoulder, but it's not where you need to focus on by any means.
Yeah, your power comes from there. Your shoulder exercises are, in my opinion, often more times to protect the shoulder complex and longevity, and strength as well. But not running through your rotator cuff. But far as getting that power, you got to use the momentum of the horse and the pushing down through your feet, and going forward, to be ready to throw. Just like in baseball, it's very similar to other throwing sports. Your power comes from your core and your pelvis down. It turned off cold here. We were, so little sore throat, little tea tonight.
Oh, it was cold over the weekend and it got better. So since you just went to a clinic, so this is always my question I like to ask people that are roping. is in that corner, do you prefer, or does your horse push with his hind end? Does he push you up, or does their shoulders pull you up? Which do you prefer from your horse? Does that make sense?
I prefer the hind. Absolutely, I prefer the hind end all day long and twice on Sunday. Particularly with this horse that I was roping on this weekend. He's a very talented individual. My brother uses him in the tie down, and my brother has a challenge with keeping him on his hind end. And it's part horse. I've been working on months on that hind end. Hind end is where the power comes from. Hind end's where the power comes from in the horse. Same thing with people. But you want them to push. I want them to push off that hind end and then not pull. That's your steering and your motor, and the power comes from the hind end.
Mm-hmm. It's always an interesting question. I think it's yeah. I think I'm a little different than most because I want those shoulders to pull me forward as I go across there. But it's just, I think it's always a fun question.
Yeah, but and it's kind of, I know we talk about roping here, and I've moved things a lot back to barrel racing, only because that's where my lens has been for a while. I think part of that question too, Jennifer, is what does your horse need? If your horse is much better and is more genetically predisposed, is just more talented that way, it's a chicken or the egg kind of thing. If you're getting to the end goal and he's staying sound and everything. I mean, if I have my druthers, I'm gonna say I want things because like we work on getting on the hind end so much. Like Tank this weekend, he was like, "Oh, I haven't had to use my hind end like this long time. It got a little sore. He got a little tired after the clinic. Yeah, a little left hind. He was just kind of like, oh, I just want to sit here. I'm tired."
Right, and I think that the answer that we all are looking for is balance, right? Because if they're balanced and if we're balanced, then they're going to stay sound. We're going to be sound, and we're going to be sound in our fundamentals for sure.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. So what is the next exercise? Because last week we talked about the trunk rotation on our backs in supine or hook line. So they did that all this week. So this week they're going to make sure that they keep their legs up, right? Because maybe not even rotate as far if their legs are dropping out. Back it off. They say that's all going awesome. So how can they up the ante a tick?
I think there's a couple things I want to talk about, Jennifer, and a lot of it comes from my own experiences as I was trying to knock some rest off before the clinic, so that we could get more things out of the clinic, and challenges that I reverted back to this weekend when fatigue set in, because I'm a big believer that when we get stressed or fatigued, our bodies go back to their old habits. Old ingrained habits, even years later, will crop back up. It's a nature thing. And my challenge, and I think clarifying what we're talking about, powering down and getting your power from your pelvis, is not, for me and for a lot of people, it's not standing up in the saddle, standing straight up. It's more of a anterior pelvic tilt, which is a huge PT word. But your pelvis, it can go back and forth. I wish I had my pelvis with me tonight. I was not thinking clearly.
Yeah, but I think,
and it's a tilt forward.
Right, here's our pelvis, right? And it can go back. Here, I don't have much anterior. This is as far as I go. But
but it's that anterior That's great, Jennifer, because it's that anterior tilt towards the front of that saddle horn instead of not us trying to stand straight up, because you got these G forces that are coming at you. You're trying to go up. These G forces are sending you back, which sends your tip up towards the sky instead of down at your target. And so, in addition to, if you're up like that, your butt gets to bouncing in the saddle and you can't stay consistently where you need to. So it's more of a go forward and absorb that. And in my PT brain, I'm anterior tilting, maybe more than I need to, because by the time all those forces pull on me, I'm where I need to be. My tip is down and I'm ready to swing and deliver at my target.
For sure.
So I think
the butt candle fight,
yeah,
you call it, right? That bouncing
yes,
in your saddle feeling
yes.
is not good.
No, it doesn't feel good on you, and it doesn't feel good on your horse.
No.
You know, because we've got big heavy rope saddles on these horses, and they're having that pressure as they're trying to go forward and do what we ask them to do. So I think it's getting, and I do this with my riders regardless of discipline, it's getting that pelvic control. And I'll post some cute little videos for you in the group tomorrow, but it's literally laying on your back, hook lying. So laying on your back with your knees bent in a comfortable position and working on that pelvic control of going all the way back and flattening your back into your bed or the floor where you're laying, and then arching your back, and getting that anterior posterior control. It seems simple, but it's probably one of the hardest things I teach in the clinic to people, because it's rewriting those neuromuscular patterns and understanding that our pelvis moves three different ways. So I do that. And then within this exercise is I go through all three motions, even though in this situation we're only talking about the going forward and back. But then I go where I rotate around, because our pelvis rotates forward. And so it's literally feeling like you're picking up one hip off the other. And you're not pushing. The thing about this, though, is you're not pushing through your feet to do this. I tell people all the time that lever of movement, just think of a pole going right through the center of your pelvis, and that's where your axis is. Everything needs to move from your pelvis, not pushing through your feet to get your pelvis to move. And lastly, I do the lateral movement, and I tell people all the time, think about a woman walking down the sidewalk in high heels and her butt's and she's really showing off, and so her butt's going and doing, and so it's really fun to tell guys to do this like that. We get some great conversations.
Right.
But and what I found is even getting through those three motions and doing that repetitively, that you start getting more neuromuscular control of your pelvis, and it translates. Your body goes, "Hey, wow, that was easier," and and riding just becomes magically easier, because we're already using our pelvis for everything we do. But when we're off and we're showing it the right ways to do it, it just goes, "Hey, how about that?"
Right. And don't you, I mean,
And then we get into,
I find that people that have had pain, had a concussion, just have never been aware of their bodies. Like, they need this for that body brain connection, right? And like you said, it doesn't take long. It just, like, you just have to say, hey, we got some muscles here and we got to use them.
yeah. And the key to that exercise, Jennifer, and probably the most important part is getting your mind right to do it before pulling everything out, getting to a place where you are internalizing and feeling what's going on in your body, that you're not thinking about, did I turn the water tank off? I got to go buy hay tomorrow. I got to do this at work. Like you clear all of that out and you really get quiet in a quiet space. And we're talking, folks, we're talking 5-10 minutes will really start changing some stuff if you will just quiet the mind and really focus on your body, and then that will negate all of these things that we hear told all the time. Well, no, you gotta pull your right shoulder back here, and you gotta do this here, because we've all been where you get told, like, I mean, just crazy stuff, and you're wanting to get better so bad that you're like, hell, I'll try it. Is that where you want it? Like, do I need to get this high to do? I mean, like, yes. Like, I told Joe this weekend, I was like, if you tell me to get off and run around the arena and dance like a chicken 3 times, I will do that before. Whatever it takes to do this. But yeah, it's just, so let's work on the foundation, and then everything else is going to get stronger.
Right. Having it strong and stable, right, and flexible are all important, but having it connected to the rest of our body, right? Because so many times I see that there's just no connection between here or any of the other extremities, and kind of like we talked about last week, doing the one thing with one arm, that bilateral coordination. You got to have that. It has to be connected, because like you said, we have to do it slow, and then we have to get faster, and then you're going to go somewhere and there's people watching you, and oh my God, we're going to get nervous, right? I mean, that's a whole different conversation we can have, but the stronger this connection is and the more automatic it is, the easier it will be. So yeah, I have a learning triangle that I teach from a lot, and the more automatic the stuff at the bottom can be, the stuff at the top is just easier. So
yeah, because that's not even, that's bare bones basic of where I start with moving the pelvis. And I really like those exercises we talked about last week, and that's kind of where our conversation led. It was very easy, and everybody, I think, got a lot out of them. And this way, we're kind of incorporating the whole pelvis this week, and starting to talk that away with everything, and just getting, and you'll be like, for some people I've worked with, it takes us. I've taken 30 minutes to get this motion correct and get people to understand and feel it. Like it's that important of a foundational thing. And so it's going through it and going, oh, and for people who do not have this neuromuscular control or have not felt that before, they're going to feel muscles that they've never felt. They're going to feel different movements and different things go. You can even have some crinkling, crunching, kind of cracking feeling with because of tight fascia, which can be a whole nother topic of how life works, as I've learned more about the fascial system. But of just kind of getting the cobwebs out of there and getting some control, and what I like about your group, Jennifer, and what you're doing, and kind of how you started last week and progressing on, is we're working on multiple things at a time, because gosh, in 2 seconds, a lot of things have to happen in 2 seconds, and we don't have time to do one thing and then go to the next. Like, yeah, we got to work on the difference in right and left, and then we got to work on a stable pelvis while we're still doing Mr. Miyagi wax on, wax off, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. And you didn't even, in that conversation about you haven't even mentioned activation of your transverse abdominis, right? Or activation of the muscles. So, I think that's,
no,
I don't even think we go there yet, but that's where I in, and we'll get back in the post this morning, I talked about my one thing, right? Which is what I want everybody to get out of this is they need to have what their one thing is that they get to do, not have to do, that they get to do every day for this roping, right? And my one thing is walking. And I started 2015, right? And I couldn't hardly walk it. My back hurt and but that is my one thing. And I do it for strengthening. I do it for stability of my pelvis. And I can walk now for 2 miles without having to think about activation of my transverse abdominis or core stability or where my pelvis is. But man, I mean, this is 5 years later, right? You know, it took a long, long time. But it's the one thing I have to do every day. And I shouldn't say I walk every day. Every day that I'm home, I walk. And I'll walk too when I'm gone. It just depends on life. But that and rope the bale. But those are the things. And I think that's what I'm hoping people will gather, that you don't have to have a, yes, you should, if you have a 45-minute workout every day, yeah, that doesn't work. I mean, that's great. But like, what can you do every day that's simple, that's going to empower and impact your roping? So I love it so far.
Yeah, and even with your walking program, you can combine, you can go hand walk your horses, you know, and then everybody, you're getting more of a connection with your horse and getting them a little bit more movement. And you know, I mean, yeah, just that's kind of what in the Arena 365 has kind of come out of the beginning of January for me. And then what you're doing too here is just a little bit every day.
Every day, right? And I love the idea of hand walking your horses. I can't. I have one horse that doesn't lead and the other that is, but it's a great concept. I like, right, I walk with the dogs. But while I walk, I mean, I can get stability, but then I use my walking for some contemplation time, because I know meditation is really good. I have a hard time with meditation, but I can contemplate and work on using that 30 minutes or however long it be to think about one thing, or to not think about, you know, to throw a question out there and say, so I think you just doing something every day, a piece, right, towards our goals, because we all are adulting and we all don't have all the time in the world that we would like to have.
Yeah, this adulting, it gets in the way so much.
So much.
Yeah.
Oh, what should I go? Oh, so I was gonna show everybody. I guess I should ask, do you have one thing that you do every day, or does it change every day for you?
Right now it changes every day, and I'm working on getting a more solid plan to where it's a little bit more consistent, as my day job is teaching at a university. And so as we've gotten back into this is the second week of school starting back, and so as we're getting back into a routine and trying to right now my goal is maximizing my time, so I'm getting to school earlier in the dark and getting done and trying to maximize a little bit of light that's starting to come at the end of the day and get more stuff done at the barn. But as I'm reconfiguring things for the year, I'm working on getting more that consistent, the walking thing, or the for me it will definitely be a shoulder thing on making sure my scapular stability is up and the rotator cuff is firing correctly and getting strong, and so that I can protect that as well. Because as we've talked tonight, we can get one thing done a day, but there's multiple things that we got to do in the arena to get the one thing accomplished.
Right. And then I haven't been doing my scapular stability exercises. I was going to show them this week. And like you said, I don't do them I'm not a big hand weights person. I can flare my shoulder super easy. It's a little flared right now because last week, the week before circuit final, so would that be 10 days ago, I roped every day with a bigger rope in the wind, and that's always what flares my shoulder. and my neck is stiff, which makes my shoulder stiff. So, but I was gonna show, I just do them, and I'm a big person, so like I have my rope by my pickup that I have to walk past to get to the house at night, right? So I can drive in, it's dark, try my pickup lights on my dummy and rope it 10 times, you know. So because if it's not something like that, I won't, not that I won't do it or I want to do it, but I can always think of not excuses, but other things that I could do, right? I can answer these emails or da 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 da. So I have these little pieces of TheraBand, and I have them stuck everywhere. So like what I will do with this is leave it on my kitchen counter. So every night, even if by the end of the day I haven't done them, and I just do 10. I just do them here, at my side, do some external rotation here, and the reason, and just to keep, and then I'll do 10 horizontal. This here, same thing. But see, while I'm doing this, everyone, this is tight, and this is in my roping position, right? I'm leaning back, but how you maximize that, and I've always do this then, is I get into what I call kind of that, you know, on your tiptoes, kind of knock knee. So I'm activating all of these muscles while I'm doing these, right? 10 this way, and then I do 10 bow and arrows on each side. Just quick. So, and then I just do them this way. So if you guys are interested in doing some TheraBand exercises, this is just for some shoulder stability, right? My main thing with any exercise that we've talked about tonight is you don't want to do them so much that they hurt, right? You just do a few, and a few every day, because we need endurance, right? We need to be able to go rope, you know, 10 calves in the practice 10 or whatever that might be. So this is my best friend, and it can go anywhere with me.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's super convenient. It's super easy. I love that. You keep setting yourself up for success. There's my practice rope. There's my dummy. Here's this. That's on my kitchen counter. You know, just and ingraining those habits of, okay, just a little bit here, a little bit there. Absolutely. In another circle of mine, and I've loved this saying, is imperfect action beats perfect inaction. And while don't take that to extreme when we're talking about physical exercise and getting body awareness and building strength and endurance and things, there has to be correct form, so that you don't make yourself sore, you don't have negative results instead of the positive ones that you're after. But you're talking about, in the other sense, you're talking about setting yourself up for success, where if I'm roping, if I only rope the dummy 10 times a day, which is great for shoulder health. If you're doing that every day instead of roping 100 times, let's work smarter, not harder. This weekend, I was talking with Dub Grant and Joe, and, comments that came out all the time where, you guys have it so much better today because you have all this knowledge and these resources and these tools and things that have been invented and stuff to be smarter, not harder, and so that you don't rope through your rotator cuff and other things. So setting that up for success is super important that way.
For sure. I kind of always cringe when somebody says, oh, you need to rope the bale 50 times or 60 times or 100 times. And in my mind, I just don't think that sets anybody up, right? Because it's fatigue, and you need to be really smart. And even tonight when I was arena roping, and my hands were cold because I decided I was going to use a ring and some twine, and and I just got cold and tired, and I'm like, okay, nope, I'm just going to rope 2 more and be done. Proper muscle brain connection gets you so much further than repetition that's 4. So yeah, I think that's what I had to cover tonight. What else? Do you have anything else to add?
No, I think that was a lot of good stuff. We'll I don't have a cute video readily available on the pelvis exercise we talked about tonight, but I'll get one up. It may be tomorrow night before all that gets done, because I always put more on my plate than we get accomplished in a day, but we somehow, it all keeps moving forward. Small steps equals forward motion. But I think if you'll start just learning your body, just getting quiet, no texting or going off, no whatever, it just 5 minutes of quality time getting to know your body and moving through the motions. It's pretty amazing how that A, what you learn, and then B, how that will start translating over into things that are already very ingrained actions in your life.
That's so true. Well, thank you so much for joining us, for your time. I appreciate it. And get a good night's rest before you go back to work tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. Thank